Let's talk about video game addiction. So lately, I've been seeing a lot of men in the manosphere society spewing the notion that video games are the cause for why a lot of men are virgins, are the cause for why a lot of men aren't getting laid, are the cause for why a lot of men aren't alpha, are the cause for why a lot of men don't get money and why they're feminine. And let me just say this, bro, straight up, like any man who is spewing this message out there to the youth, you're ignorant, you're delusional, and you're insanely misinformed. Like, first and foremost, bro, let me just say straight up, if you have an addiction of any sort, that's a you problem. Nobody is putting a gun to your head and telling you, yo, bro, hop on the Xbox right now and play this game for 7 to 8 hours a day. Like, nobody is forcing you to do that. You are playing video games 7 to 8 hours every day on your own accord. That's a you problem. Any addiction, gambling, drinking, smoking, gaming, whatever, like any addiction, porn, any addiction, that is because of a flaw within yourself. And that flaw is called lack of self-discipline. I'm getting so sick and tired of seeing this narrative being spun online lately that video games are the cause for why men ain't shit today. And that is just so not true. I love video games. I'm a big gamer. And let me tell you something, bro. I've never had an issue. I've never been addicted to video games to the point where I'm neglecting my hygiene and to the point where my grades are tanking. Never. Like, if you are playing video games so much to the point where you're neglecting your priorities, your hygiene is going out the window, your college grades are tanking, like that's a you problem, bro. Don't blame the video games. That's a you problem. That's a lack of self-discipline within yourself. You have no one else to blame but yourself. You can't blame your mom. You can't blame your household. You can't blame the video games. You can't blame nothing. You have to blame yourself. And the problem in this day and age is that nobody likes to take accountability when they are the issue, when they are the problem. They're pointing at everybody and everything else except for themselves. They're not taking no accountability. So start taking accountability. Video games are not the reasons why you don't have a girlfriend and why you're not making money, etc., etc., etc. Nobody's forcing you to pick up that controller. Now, are there men out there who have a video game addiction? Absolutely. But don't blame the video games, bro. Blame the kids who are playing video games that much to the point where they're neglecting the priorities in their life. I have never, ever had that issue. And if you are having a video game addiction, like if you feel like you're really struggling getting through life because video games are just that enticing to you to the point where you're neglecting your priorities, then yeah, maybe you should get rid of that console. But to be honest, I don't even think that would help because you could easily just play your sibling's console if you have a sibling who has a console, or you could easily repurchase that console. Because if you're really addicted to something, you're gonna find a way to get back into that addiction. So that's where you have to dive deep within yourself and reprogram your mind and fix that flaw within you, which is that lack of self-discipline. Like, for example, you could be addicted to smoking cigarettes. You could throw that pack of cigarettes down the toilet into the trash. But then an hour later, you get in your car and you go to your local grocery store and pick up a pack of cigarettes right there. You could do the same thing with video games or repurchasing a console or whatever. Like if the addiction is really that bad, you can repurchase the console. I know a friend who did that. I knew a friend who was so addicted to video games, he had to put his PlayStation 3 away. His PS4 away in his closet. Then he found out like, no, that doesn't work because he takes his PS4 out of the closet and plays video games anyway. So then he had to sell his PS4 because, out of sight, out of mind. And then he ended up repurchasing it. So sometimes that doesn't even work. So that's why I say you got to dive deep within yourself, and you need to fix that lack of self-discipline. So for the men in the manosphere, popular and lesser known, stop spewing this stupid delusional notion and message that video games are the reasons why, are the main cause why young men are not getting laid and why young men aren't doing X, Y, and Z. Like, that's bullshit, bro. You're preaching the wrong stuff. And video games are more than just a game. They are a medium of art. A lot of people forget that in today's day and age, bro, so many different types of artists have to come together in order to make this vision come to life, which is game development. That's what game development is. You know, it's a myriad of different fine artists coming together to try to make a vision come to life through graphics, software, hardware, and pixels. And it's just so sad how so many people don't acknowledge that, or tend to forget that, or belittle that, you know? So I just had to get this off my chest, bro. Like, I've been a huge gamer like all my life, and let me tell you something, man. Like, I'm inches away from getting my BFA in studio art. I'm currently in my undergrad journey. You know, I'm about to be in my last semester once fall semester comes around, and I'm going to get my BFA. And I could tell you right now, like, there was not a single time where I was like, yo, man, I'm going to put this off because I really want to play this video game. Absolutely not. Like, I had no issue putting down the controller to make sure that my grades were good and to make sure that that paper was turned in on time. I had no issue with that at all. So if you have that issue, bro, that's a you problem, and you need to fix that. I don't know how you're going to fix that, but you need to fix that. That's a you issue. We need to start taking accountability and stop blaming external sources or external things for the reasons why our life is in turmoil. It's time to start looking within and stop blaming things on the outside. Stop blaming things on the outside and start blaming things on the inside. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, yo, what am I doing wrong in life, and how can I fix that? You know what I'm saying? So stop blaming video games, you know? Like, I can't tell you how many video games have came out around like finals week or whatever, and I'm so excited to play them. I'm like, yo, oh my God, I'm hyped. But I always put it off because I know that video game is always there. Like, let me tell you something, man. If you have a video game addiction, maybe this can help you. Always prioritize your priorities over video games, because video games will always be there, bro. Like, your console will always be there. The controller will always be there. It's not going nowhere, bro. You know, your moments of success are limited. You know, you need to capitalize whenever a moment of success crosses your path, because you may not get the chance to capitalize on it again. You know, like, your console will always be there. You will always have time to play that game, you know? So prioritize your priorities first. Like, your console isn't going anywhere. And at the end of the day, bro, like, this is your life. You only get one life. So you don't want to waste it, you know, focusing on the wrong things when you should be focusing on the right things. You know what I mean? So for all the young men who are watching this, don't get brainwashed by the Andrew Tates of the world and all of these other, you know, men in the manosphere who say that video games are the cause for why blah, 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 blah. No, video games are not the reason, man. If there's any man out there who says, I used to play video games, I used to love video games, but then I had to throw out my console because I wasn't getting laid and my hygiene was terrible and I couldn't get good grades and I almost failed, I almost didn't graduate high school. Like, bro, that's because of that's a fucking you problem, bro. Don't blame the video games. That's because of you, bro. You can't blame nobody, no game, nothing. The only person you can blame for that is because of you. If you almost didn't graduate high school because you were so addicted to video games, playing 7 to 8 hours every day, that's because of you and your own doing. Nobody else's. So stop coming on YouTube, stop coming on these platforms and saying video games are the issue, because they're not the issue. If you have a video game addiction, that is something that you need to resolve within yourself. Because as much as I love video games, there are other things in this world, bro, that are so much more awesome than video games. You know, like spending time with friends, family, creating fine art. Because once again, like I said before, I'm a fine art major, you know, like learning about history, science. Like there's so many other things out there that, actually, I take that back, that aren't more awesome than video games, but just as awesome as video games. You know what I mean? Like all of those things that I just listed, man, like they're just as awesome as video games. You just gotta find out about them. You just gotta expose yourself to those things more. You know what I mean? So if you have a video game addiction, you know, first of all, spot the telltale signs. Do you smell? How's your social life? How's your health? Do you find that you get weak? Do you find that, you know, you get out of breath fairly easily just going down the stairs? Like, you got to start self-reflecting. And if you find that, you know, you're not doing good socially, you're not doing good, emotionally, whatever, and if you feel all of these symptoms, that's when you know you have a bad video game addiction, bro. And you need to go out, you need to touch some grass, and you need to fix yourself, you know? So don't blame, it's not the video games, it's yourself, you know? But once again, if you find that video games are doing this to you, remind yourself that video games are not doing this to you, it's you doing this to yourself, you know? But anyway, guys, I'm rambling on, but I just want to say, like, stop blaming video games for the reasons why men aren't doing what you want them to do. Video games are not the reasons why. It's just a lack of self-discipline that a lot of people are just, for whatever reason, too scared to admit. That's all it is, man. So video games are not the issue. If you have a video game addiction, you know, check for those symptoms. And if you feel like you have a lot of those symptoms, it's never too late to resolve those symptoms and to fix yourself, man. No need to throw out the console. No need to do any of that stuff. If you need to do that stuff, go ahead and do it. No guarantee that it's going to work, because once again, I already told you guys about that story of my friend earlier in this video. But, you know, just remember that, like, it's not the game, it's yourself. If you have a video game addiction, do whatever it is that will resolve that issue. And I hope you feel better. But yeah, I just had to get all of this off my chest, man. It's just so tiring seeing this shit like all over the internet. Like, oh, men, video games are the reason why men. It's like back in the day in the 1980s, 90s, when they were blaming video games for all of those mass shootings and why, you know, violence was happening all over America. Like, bro, really? It was cringy then, and it's cringy now. Outdated, misinformed opinions. So yeah, bro, that's all I gotta say. Video games are not the issue. You are the issue. Take accountability and step up and change your life. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's not video games, bro, because this is the thing. If you have an addictive personality, if you throw out the video games, you could be addicted to something else. You could get into gambling. You could get into drugs. Like, you need to fix that addictive personality within yourself first, because that addiction can manifest and transform and evolve into something else. You know what I mean? Like, you could get rid of the video games and that addiction can transform into something else later in your life. So it's not the video games, it's yourself. Peace.